Hey guys, so today I'm doing my speech on a case study. All the information I'm sharing with you today came from the Case Study Unit of Effective Classroom Arrangement from the Iris Center at Vanderbilt University, created by Carolyn Everston, PhD, and Ingrid Poole, PhD. Um, so, what their case study was mainly about were five different scenarios, but the overall message was, how do you have effective classroom seating? What is the best strategy in case by case basis? These are very broad cases and very simplified cases, and you don't really have all the information that you need to make proper problem solving judgments as you would as a real teacher in a real classroom. And also, the constant shifting in relationships of the students and the constant changing in activities that you're doing promotes like the shifting of classroom seating on a daily basis and also on a year like an annual basis. So like for example, if your students are doing individual work in their same seats that they watch you give a lecture at the board, uh, they're always in those same seats. You got to change that around on a semi-annual basis. But like if you're doing between group activity and individual work, you might have to like shift the desks around in those instances. But this is mainly talking about like a child's permanent seating. So the first example is Edward in third grade. He is the seated where the star is in this first diagram. All of the diagrams have the simple setup of the teacher's desk and the circle desk and the bookshelf and the windows and the chalkboard and the computer in the corner. So I honestly don't think most any classroom I would teach in looks this simple, or even like there might be a rug in the corner, and it would probably even be bigger than this. This is very like haphazard drawings because I'm not the best at drawing, and it's on a whiteboard. There's no grid like it was on the computer, but I was doing my best. And so he is sitting by the chalkboard, which you would think is a good spot because he's near the assignment, where during individual work the teacher always writes the assignment on the board. And they thought it was a good idea to put them there, but it turns out there are still distractions. The specific distractions aren't mentioned, but I would think that maybe it's the students around them. So you would want to move them maybe over here where they're still by the chalkboard, or maybe close to the teacher so you can keep an eye on them and see how that help like changes the situation. And you have to remember that any action that you do, unless you have an open desk, you have to move the other student that's sitting at the desk. So you have to try to be fair amongst the other students. It's very hard to have like a foolproof, distraction free environment for 20 to 30 students every day, but you just arrange them to do their best. Especially, I think, social interactions. Like, the next example has to do with a student that missed most of the school semester so far for medical reasons because they have very frail bones that if they are bumped into too hard, they'll bruise or break their bone very easily. So they've been out of school, and just being introduced in the classroom late, it can be hard to socialize, but also we have to keep in mind we got to keep her away from any hazards, which if you put her more in the mix of the students, you're limiting her access to the door in a speedy fashion. So those are like hard to work around. Um, and the second grade student example, Marcus, he fidgets around a lot. He taps his pencil, scoots his seat back and forth. All this distraction that's self-made, and he'll get up and move around during individual work. The only distraction I really read that's preventable is the trash can, because he'll try to like make baskets with the papers he'll ball up, and I would think that you would move the trash can before you move the student in that situation because, like I said, usually moving a student means you have to move another student, and the other student might think it's unfair to be moved. So then the last description was of 4 students that are usually in special education classes, and they are introduced into the the standard classroom when they during science, I think it was, it's like a certain block of time or a certain lesson, they'll go be with the regular classroom children, and they need to be integrated so they can try to socialize away from each other because they're with each other most of the day. So you want to try to expose them to other students that they don't normally see when they can be. Um, and then the last one, I'm not going to try to draw it out, but it's another integrating the special education student in with the other students during her block period. So the main things to take away from this were um, making the seating minimized of distractions, maximize the child's access to their desk, away from their desk, to the materials, like move them from other students. Like if they're with their friends, that will distract them, or if like certain students don't get along, you might not want them seated next to each other. It really depends on the relationships and how they build over the year at the same time. And matching the seating arrangement with the lesson plan and the purpose, and making it easy to move around the classroom. Obviously, my pictures don't do it justice, but that's all I have for you guys today. If you want to try to look at this a little better, sorry I can't focus it. Have a good spring break.